three.
All right, this is welcome to Positivity is the Way to Go. He is a college recruiting specialist. Welcome my guest today, Jeff Howell. How's it going today, man?
It's going good, Dion. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Good to see you. We got the face to the picture because we had talked earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Yep. So I got a question. What is the difference between NAIA, NCAA, and JUCO?
Oh man, that's a good question. So obviously everybody knows the NCAA, and the NCAA is sort of the premier college sports administration and kind of overseer of athletics. Um, they're one of the main, or they are the main administration organization. So they have the three different divisions. They got D1, D2, and D3, and there are a variety of different rules and setups for each of those three divisions. Typically, most everybody is fairly well known or understand what the D1 teams are. You've heard of the FBS and FCS. FBS would be the Power Five conferences, Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC, SEC, things like that, and those are the teams that most people recognize. Then you've got the FCS, which is the championship series, which used to be kind of Division 1A, and that is those are D1 schools that are just a little bit in a different level, but they have their own playoff system, which is fantastic. So schools like NDSU, where Carson Wentz played, would be, and they're an FCS level team, so Division 1A. And then you got D2, which are things like I don't know, Grand Valley State University here in Michigan. You've got a whole lot of D2 programs, and the competition there is great. They also have a playoff system. And then you've got D3 programs, which are, there's a ton of those. They also operate on a playoff system. The differences between the three divisions are pretty simple. Obviously, the size of the institution, but then the rules of engagement for coaches, and also the level of athletic scholarships that are able to be provided, right? So D1 has the opportunity to provide a full ride to a athlete if they so choose. D2 are typically 50 to 60% athletic scholarships, and then D3 do not provide athletic scholarships at all. So typically, the athletes that you see at D3 programs are going to be also very high academic. So they're also very intelligent. They've got great GPAs, and so those are what most D3 athletes or programs are filled with. NAIA is a different level of a athletic organization. They say they have two divisions, but typically it's everybody sort of in one program. There's about 100 or 120 schools in the NAIA, and the competition there is actually really good. They play really good football. They have great basketball programs. I mean, back in the 80s, Scottie Pippen was an NAIA grad. So they're really good competition, right? But they also have a playoff system. They also have the opportunity to provide athletic scholarships, either full rides or all the way down to just partial. And their institutions are great. They're great higher learning. You get great education at NAIA schools, and so I wouldn't sleep on those. They, if you have any thoughts about playing, post high school, and you're not getting a lot of D1 looks, but you still need some of that money, NAIA is a great place to look. And then, of course, JUCO would be junior college. A lot of those are stepping stones to, if you need to increase your GPA, if you need to get better grades, but you still want to be able to play, going to a junior college to get some of that athletic experience to keep yourself fit and still in playing shape, but then work on your education. Get good grades, kind of work on your study habits, and increase your GPA, so then you can transfer to a different program. That's kind of what JUCO is there for. So those would be the differences between all three of those types of programs.
Well said, Jeff. That's why you're the man with the plan, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got another question.
Sure, man.
Why do you think college football is breaking up?
Breaking up. Oh, you mean like some of the larger conferences are sort
Yeah,
of
yeah,
breaking
yeah.
up, and
Like
yeah,
Stanford, like who do you guys think is going to go? Because Stanford, California,
yeah, the Pac-12.
University of California, yeah, is looking for a new home because they like the leftovers of the Pac-12, and you got 18
Yeah,
teams, Big Ten right now with Oregon, Washington, and then it's a whole mess. And then you got the SEC, they're more regional, so it's not so
hmm
bad. But Big Ten, people got to travel 90, not like 900 miles in order to
yeah,
get to the stadiums and stuff. They got Midwest teams now. They recruiting this more. They can recruit in California and stuff now, but
right.
then again, it's going to be a lot of money and mileage for those schools.
Yeah.
That's why they
And
had Oregon and Washington, I think. What do you think?
well, I think that these institutions aren't thinking of their athletes very well. I mean, it's one thing to go from, say, New Jersey to Minneapolis. You know, if Rutgers is going to go play the Gophers, right? That's one thing, right? It's a 4 hour flight. Okay. But you go from New Jersey to Cal or New Jersey to Stanford. I mean, that's a 6.5 hour flight. And then you've got jet lag, you got a 3 hour time zone difference, and then typically you're not going to go out there more than just a day in advance. So by the time 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock rolls around, it's midnight or 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and you're exhausted, and you're still doing your team meetings. Um, I just don't think that they thought this through um, for college athletes, especially freshmen, sophomores, just kind of coming in and they're expected to go play, traveling cross country the next day. But when it comes to kind of the conference realignments, I mean, we saw this with the Big East, right? Got Syracuse going to the ACC. You had the Big East kind of breaking up, and the Big East sort of reducing back down to the Catholic Five. Um, the problem is with conference realignment like that is that you obviously can tell that it's all money driven, right? And unfortunately, you've got all these schools that are um, not only are they receiving millions and millions and millions of dollars from boosters and from TV deals for their sports. Um, they want to get more exposure, and so they go to a conference that has a sweeter deal for whatever it is that they are trying to accomplish. It's great for football, great for basketball, great for baseball and softball in some instances, but it's terrible for gymnastics. It's going to be terrible for volleyball. It's going to be terrible for these other sports that are sort of marginalized, but yet they're in these conferences where they have to travel all these distances. Um, there might be an opportunity to do some more neutral site stuff for the types of sports that it makes more sense to do that. But then you lose the advantage of having a home court or home field. Um, I just don't think it's fair, not just to the conferences, but to the athletes. I understand why it's happening, and I get it. It's all a business, um, but we're losing we're losing a lot of the traditions that kind of made these individual conferences really great, and you're losing the ability to maintain regional dominance because now, I mean, you used to be able to recruit from everywhere you wanted to anyway, but now when you've got Washington meeting up with the Big Ten, I think as I said over our phone call, yes, it kind of exposes some of these other teams to players on the West Coast, like say Minnesota or Michigan or whatever. But again, I think we're running into kind of a slippery slope where these conferences are going to become much more fluid, and we're losing the stability of kind of what made college football good to begin with and you're losing any chance to having any kind of parity. Because when you realign these conferences and schools are able to kind of go wherever they want to, they're going to chase going after the conferences where they have the best chance of succeeding and beating up on the competition. That's one of the reasons why nobody wants to go to the SEC, because you know you're going to get your butt kicked every week by Alabama and South Carolina and all those teams, or Auburn. And I know you made the comment earlier when we were on the phone about Minnesota maybe not being able to succeed well against a Pac-12 team like Washington or Stanford, and you may be right about that. So kind of PJ Fleck's trying to build this amazing, this team and this culture, row the boat up in Twin Cities, and all of a sudden you've got Washington coming in kicking their ass. I mean, it's just I don't like it.
It's USC and UCLA too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just not sure it's a good thing for the sport.
Why do you think coaches get mad when there is when they leave? Why do you think people get mad when coaches leave? But what I'm trying to say is, why do people get mad when coaches leave, but then when they get mad when recruits leave and stuff, kids want to transfer? What's up with that?
I think it's a perception thing. You want to teach these kids to stay committed and to follow through on what they say they're going to do. And so you want that quality in your athlete. You want that sense of leadership. You want that commitment. You want that sense of integrity, right? But when it comes to a coach, they're not held to that same standard, and that's the entire reason why. It's you have student athletes coming in, and they sign on the dotted line and they commit, but yet when the coach does it, it happened here in Michigan when PJ Fleck left Western to go to Minnesota. I was happy about it because being a Golden Gopher fan, I thought it was a great hire. Pulling a coach from an FCS team to a program that was struggling at the time, and he mopped the floor through the playoffs, right? In a very short amount of time. He just went through the FCS. But yet he's kind of struggled in some cases. I mean, I would say it's a mixed bag of success, but so people in Michigan were all upset that PJ Fleck built this thing and now he's leaving, right? He's taking the row the boat with him, and but yet when students do it, it just seems like there's more of a pushback on it. And I think the reason why is we set our coaches on a different standard than our athletes.
Yeah. So, do you think the college football is going like to the NFL model? Because that's what I think right now. It's going to be super conferences, and then the big boys, and it is going to be everybody else that's playing for the middle and everything. Because Minnesota is like going to be like Rutgers and Maryland. They're going to beat them guys, but they may be like 6-6 moving forward, make a bowl game, and that's it. Because Minnesota have been in the West, and they have not beat Wisconsin or Iowa. And I don't think it's going to be different this year because they got a quarterback that ain't that. He's not like the quarterback they just had, the Morgan guy. So
Trevor Morgan.
Another tough year. Yeah, it's going to be another tough year for Minnesota. Then, not my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you on that. But I think PJ Fleck is one. He's won the athletic director over. He's won the city over. He's not going anywhere. But mostly because his wife likes the area and she's from around there, so she's pretty set on staying there until their kids graduate. But when it comes to your question about is college football going towards the NFL, I think that there are things that, especially D1 football is doing, that are very similar to the NFL program. So you have the transfer portal, which I kind of liken to free agency, and you've got NIL, which is endorsements. I think as long as the difference between, say, the NIL and endorsements professionally is that the NIL is available to everybody, right? You can be a 0-star lineman on Eastern Illinois, and you can get on NIL money if you've got the personality and you've got the thing, and it whatever you get matches up with the state laws in Illinois. So I think the NIL is a good thing. I've always said that for these institutions to profit off the name and likeness of these athletes that are pouring their heart and soul into these programs, and these athletes not be compensated outside of getting an education, which is a great compensation. And I think that most athletes will tell you that's they don't take that for granted. But if you have the opportunity to make a few $100,000, and in some cases millions of dollars, in addition to what the school is profiting off of what you're doing for them, I don't see why. I had no problem with that, as long as it's done legally, and that the student is sort of taught how to manage that, or they have people that they trust managing that income for them. The transfer portal, again, it just makes it easy for athletes to renege on their commitments, and it also doesn't allow for students to maintain continuity in the classroom either, because you're transferring to another institution. Your transcript may not match up with what the destination school might want. So you might have taken a class that you've paid for, or have a scholarship for, that this new institution may not have or may not apply to your major. So then all of a sudden you get behind, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity for college athletes to mismanage the transfer portal and just sort of see it as an easy way out of not sticking with the program that they're a part of. It makes it easy for athletes to not maintain their commitments, or to kind of work through it and work through their aggression, or work through any issues that they might have with the coaching staff or the program. They're just like, oh, forget it. I'll just enter the transfer portal because this is too hard for me to try and figure out, or to work with the program on. So it kind of gives them an easy out, and I don't like that part of it.
And they transfer too, because what if it's a quarterback battle or a wide receiver battle and everything, and they may get beat out and everything. They may want to go to another school with a better opportunity to start.
Well, yeah, that's true, and I see that's part of what that was intended for, right? To make it easy for somebody who may be in too much competition, go to a place where they can have some playing time if they have the chance to play in the NFL, right? I get that part of it, and if that's the reason, if that's a real reason, and if that's the thought process behind it, sure. But I think too many athletes are just using it as an excuse to just jump ship, because they don't want to deal with whatever it is at the program that they're currently in.
I get what you're saying, Jeff, but I got to. Well, who do you think will go in and ask for championship this year? Because Georgia, they just been mauling everybody. They just beat TCU like
Yeah.
67. And the thing is, they the new big time program in the SEC. Who you think gonna beat them? And do you think they're gonna win a three-peat this year?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Nick Saban has the level of talent that he wants this year. So I don't think he's gonna. I mean, he's always gonna be a player because it's Nick Saban, but I think Georgia's just too good. Georgia is playing NFL type football to everybody else is playing varsity. Like they're just on another level at this point. I think the Clemson ship has sailed. They may be up there, but I think you're gonna get Georgia. You're gonna get probably Ohio State. Um, you'll get yeah, I can't think of anybody else that might be coming up there. But
Michigan,
yeah, I'm just
Bama,
not sure. I'm not sure if
Penn
Michigan's gonna
State,
get it done this year. But
Ohio State,
yeah, I think. But
USC,
regardless of maybe USC, but I think really what it comes
Oklahoma.
down to, I think it's gonna be Georgia's national championship to lose. Um, it probably will come down between them and Oklahoma. So
Yeah, but they don't have a good. They don't have. They got a good. They don't. They got to get a quarterback in though. He not like Bennett and everything, you know.
mhm.
So that's going to be the probably the hiccup if the quarterback play is not the best.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but I think they have enough other tools to overcome that. So
Yeah, but in the NFL, it's about the quarterback setting the call and stuff. You know, if you don't got a
mhm.
quarterback,
Well,
you ain't gonna win.
I mean, I mean, yes, it's true. I mean, but look at those times where Seattle went out there and Russell Wilson wasn't the greatest quarterback either, but they relied on their defense, or even those two Super Bowls that Peyton Manning won with the Broncos. I mean, they relied on their defense. Peyton Manning was basically out there almost in a wheelchair and a walker, and yet they did well. The last couple of seasons of John Elway, same deal, that like Denver's defense was kind of won them those things, but that is unusual. Yeah, most of the time everything runs to the quarterback. Obviously, the prime example of that is Tom Brady. So, um, I think that it's really just going to see how the season plays out. But honestly, I'm still going to stick with Georgia. I think it's kind of theirs to lose, their national
Yeah,
championship to lose.
Georgia's like the NFL Kansas City team. They
Yeah,
invitation and stuff. You know, it's like the
yeah,
Georgia invitation, the Kansas invitation. It has to see who gonna play them in the end, right?
right. Yeah, exactly. But either way, I mean, it's going to be an interesting season. To be completely honest, I haven't focused on college football that much this summer, just with getting my son prepared to get him to college and things like that. So I've got a little bit to catch up on when it comes to this college football season this year.
Yeah, what do you think about the Northwestern Hazing scandal and everything? Because I'm in Chicago. What do you think about that situation? Do you think that it's the coach responsibility to know what's going on and everything, and it happened
Yeah,
all those years, but they didn't want to get rid of him and stuff? What do you think about the situation? And do you think
it's
Northwestern will ever be back to winning again?
no, no, not for a while, and it's 100% the coach's responsibility. He is the captain of that ship, right? To use that kind of an analogy. Everything stops with the leader of that program, and the leader of that program is the head coach. It isn't the AD, it isn't any assistants. The head coach is responsible for the conduct of every coach and every player that's in his program. And yes, I know you're dealing with 115 kids. Sometimes you're dealing with a coaching staff of, you know, 24, right? So it's hard to have your finger on the pulse of everything that's happening with 150 people in your program, and also put together, a championship winning football program. But that's part of the job, right? It's part of the job to understand what's happening in your program. And it is 100% the responsibility of the head coach. Um, you know, Penn State dealt with that. And if you saw, I mean, that was significantly more serious. The allegations that happened there with Patino and everything, but that everything that happens that's related to football is the coach's responsibility. Same with basketball, same with baseball, volleyball, softball, track. The head coach is the responsible party, right? And if he gets, if they get reprimanded, then it just trickles down. right? And so I think, one of the things that we learned at orientation for Joe's first week of college football was the head coach kind of straight up said that hazing they have zero tolerance for it, and that if they ever hear of anything, they ever see anything, they ever even catch wind of something like that happening, they don't care how important that piece or that player is to their team, they'll cut them loose immediately, right? They have a zero tolerance policy, and it's easy when you're in a large program like Northwestern, a D1 program that has a history and whatever, to just sort of sweep it under the rug and say, whatever, it doesn't happen here, or even if it does, we take care of it or whatever, and just sort of have that kind of weak policy about it. But you got to take a stand. You got to say it's zero tolerance. I don't care who you are. That stuff cannot happen. There's nothing that good that comes from hazing, right? All it does is hurt people, hurt the program, especially if it gets out like this. There's zero purpose for it. There's zero reason for it to ever occur. There are other ways to sort of initiate freshmen and rookies into the program that don't include stupidity.
Well said, Jeff. I would say that it was a pleasure having you on today, man. Great
Sure.
insight on topics, and hopefully during the season we can maybe have you on again.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, man. Just let me know. I'm really thankful for you to have me on, and we'll talk to you next time. All right.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.